Radical.
So I'm looking over these salaries of the Orlando Magic. Jonathan Isaac, 17. Markel Fultz, 17. Wendell Carter Jr., 13. Gary Harris, 13. Joe Ingles, 11. Jalen Suggs, 7. Cole Anthony, only 5. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Looks like they're definitely under the salary cap. Looks like they have a lot of money to spend. Maybe they can go out and get themselves a star player, huh? Like maybe Klay Thompson? Before last night's elimination game between the Warriors and the Kings, where the Warriors got eliminated, there were a lot of people pointing to the Orlando Magic as being incredibly interested in the offseason and landing them Klay Thompson. They're right now, I believe they're in 5th. Well, they're in the playoffs. The Orlando Magic is in the playoffs. Our favorite to get out of the East, but, the Bucks are they're not doing so well right now. Giannis is injured. The Celtics are still probably holding that stranglehold. Joel Embiid, if he's not back already, isn't he coming back pretty soon for the 76ers? It's a little more wide open in the East as far as, near the top. Well, not to say, more wide open, but there's a bigger gap between the best teams in the East and the worst teams. In the West, you got the Kings looking amazing, toying with the Warriors, knocking them off pretty easily without even Malik Monk. You got the Lakers that are surging at the right time. They knocked off the Pelicans. Well, I think the Pelicans still in the play and they have a chance against the Kings. I don't know. I might put my money on the Kings in that one if I was betting. You got the Suns, you got the Mavericks. The West is a lot more competitive, I would say, than the East. But who knows? Maybe Orlando could be a dark horse to come out of the East into the finals. And let's say that happens. Let's say the Magic get to the finals. They take on, the Nuggets or another team in the West. Could be the Nuggets. Possibly. I just see they're taking on the Lakers. Then, we'll see if the Nuggets can sweep the Lakers like they did last season. The two teams the Lakers want to avoid, if possible, would be the Nuggets and the Kings, because they can't seem to beat those two teams. But let's say, the Magic get to the end and they don't do it. And they think, well, maybe we're just a little bit away. Maybe we're just some bench scoring away. And right now, I don't even know if they would get Klay Thompson. This is where I'm getting into talking about the Warriors after talking about the Magic for a little bit. But yeah, I would definitely like to see some changes, man. Some new teams in the mix. How about a Timberwolves Magic finals? That'd be kind of cool, right? When it comes to the Warriors, though, it's weird saying this because we're used to a Warriors dynasty. How many times before has people said, the Warriors aren't going to win anymore. The time of the Warriors is over. Then they come back in 2022. They shock the world, and they win it without Kevin Durant. Legit, they got themselves a championship on the back of little Steph Curry. They got that. But in 2023, didn't work out too well. And here in 2024, definitely didn't work out that well. And there have been a lot of problems with the team. For instance, they had someone pass away on the team that was very important to them, not on the team, but a assistant coach, I believe it was, that passed away. You have Draymond Green doing Draymond things, doing 360 elbows to people. Last year he was stomping on Sabonis of the Kings of all things. So it's kind of cool that the Kings, beat them after what he did to Sabonis. But Draymond's a problem on that team. Not on the floor. He's still a good player. He's a good to great player at nights, but he's a distraction on that team. They no longer have Jordan Poole, who, he can't lead a team in the Wizards. But if you just needed somebody to knock down some threes, and that could be the difference in the game, Jordan Poole, he could have started the pool party back up because it wasn't Klay Thompson. Klay Used to be a Splash Brother. What's funny now is, keeping with the water there, he's washed. The Splash Brother is washed. I'm not saying that he can't have a good game here or there, but no, he cannot consistently be that guy. The Warriors have a lot of problems to address. And if you have a lot of problems to address, then it's kind of hard to say that they're still in their dynasty mode. They're not. The dynasty is over. The dynasty might have been over a long time, for over a year. Could have been over last year. But a lot of people are just kind of like letting it sink in, right? 0 for 10. 0 for 10 Clay had in 32 minutes. Many of you listening to this right now probably could have got at least one bucket in 32 minutes. How the fuck does that happen? Again, one of the Splash Brothers. He had some open looks too. So it just has to be something in his head. Like, I don't believe he's not skilled enough to get one bucket out of 10 in 32 minutes. There just has to be something there mentally that's just getting in his way. He's not the same player. He just isn't. I mean, I guess he's just in his own head. But he's not that guy. Curry needs another one. Curry needs a number 2. Every great player needs a 2, or at least needs consistent role players. People out there that can get you buckets in amounts of minutes. There's so many problems. I'm not going to go into all the problems with the Golden State Warriors. But one is Steve Kerr. It's almost like Steve Kerr sticking with Clay was trying to lose this game. Like they're trying to lose. Because I figure, it's less of an embarrassment if they just lose a one-off game than maybe to get swept by another team they would be taking on. Who would they be taking on? The Timberwolves? Okay. Might be swept by the Timberwolves. Moses Moody, a bright spot on that team would be Moses Moody. Even though you might not know who Moses Moody is, Kerr never chooses to play him. But it seems like every time he comes in the game, he makes as many points as minutes he's in the game. He had more points than minutes in this game. Yet, keep running with Clay. They needed desperately offensive rebounds. But he took out Kevon Looney, who's pretty good at getting those offensive rebounds. I was looking, it seemed like the only guy during the game that was hustling was that rookie, Brandon Pajinski, whatever his name is. There was many times where he made the right play, he was trying, he was hustling. But Curry's completely not to blame in this because he had like 6 or 7 turnovers. He had 22 points, but nothing amazing. He was able to be doubled, though, and swarmed because they knew, he'll just pass it to Clay. Clay can't shoot. He'll just pass it to Clay. Wiggins didn't have that great of a game. I think of the top 3 scorers, Draymond might have been one of the top 3 scorers, I believe. Maybe Draymond and Kuminga. You look at the salary. I started talking about the salary of the Orlando Magic. You look at the salary of the Warriors, and it does not make sense. The amount of money you're paying to get the performance back does not make sense. So going into this offseason, what do? What do the Warriors do if they want to compete? We already know that the dynasty is over because the 3, Draymond, and then Clay, and then Steph, that's over. It's over. Because even if you think that Dre and Steph are still a great duo, they're not an amazing duo anymore. And you kind of had Clay as a splash brother. But he's washed. The man is washed. He can't do anything consistently. And he's not Game 6 Clay. He can't show up in the playoffs, obviously, because this was an elimination game. They were playing against a team also that didn't have Malik Monk. So he had open looks. He just couldn't knock them down. So what do they do? What can they do? Well, You get off a big contract. Well, you don't need to get off a big contract because you don't have to sign Clay again. That's money just going away. Maybe see if you can trade Wiggins and one of the younger players like a Moody. I don't think you don't touch Brandon or Kuminga because they're going to be important for the future of the Warriors. There needs to be a look to the future also because Steph is 36. Unless they just want to blow up the entire team and trade away all the rookies just to get good players back, and then, they'll be terrible for a while. Maybe they might do that. Maybe they might trade Kuminga. Maybe they might say, well, we can never trade Kuminga. And then they get an offer, a trade where they get themselves a big. Oh, yeah, last thing I want to talk about is the fact that Sabonis he drank their milkshake. He had a lunch. He set up shop. And they couldn't stop him, man. They couldn't. I was like, man, they ain't got nobody. They got Draymond, 6'6" Draymond trying to guard Sabonis. Not saying he's not a good defender, a great defender, yeah, but not consistently. They need a big. They need someone bigger than 6'6" in there. This is not going to work in the West. You got Sabonis, you got Anthony Davis, you got Nikola Jokic. You cannot play small ball in the West with them towering great centers. You just can't do it in the West. Nah. And when it comes to offensive firepower, one of those teams that you'd be taking on has Kyrie and Luka. So other than Curry, who arguably is not even as good as Luka at this point in his career, maybe he's like around Kyrie level, maybe a little better. Who is the number 2 for him? Who is the other shooter? Who is the other offensive powerhouse? Is it Kuminga? He made like a little bit of a leap. But is it going to be Kuminga next year? I don't think he'll regress. Maybe it's a solution of multiple decent guys. Maybe he doesn't need like a solid number 2. Maybe he just needs a good team put around him to win. I mean, they didn't have a lot of star power in 2022. And Curry still got it done. So maybe he just needs a good team, a smart coach, other than Steve Kerr. I don't know what it is, man. Like, after the game, this is funny. Steve Kerr said, Clay needs to come back. He's very important with what we do. I don't think he actually honestly believes that, because if what they do is lose in the play-in game, and he's very important, meaning importance, making defensive hustle plays or doing it on the offensive end, Clay just kind of ran around, didn't he? Like he got his cardio in. He didn't do jack shit in that game. And very important with what we do. In the regular season? But if you're the Warriors, you're not playing for the regular season. You're making big swings. The Warriors want at least one more title with Steph. And maybe then they'll be terrible for a couple decades. But considering the dynasty, considering everything Steph has done for them, considering Steph is one of the greatest players to ever play basketball, maybe they owe it to just ask Steph, what do you want us to do?